This year's state budget crisis is creating a ripple effect which could be devastating to the state's most vulnerable. On June 1st, the Department of Human Services froze all money for new or lapsed applications for child care subsidies. That means the working poor will have some difficult decisions to make regarding their children and their lives.
When the Department of Human Services froze all money last week for those newly applying for child care subsidies, alarms went off for those who provide child care services.
Oh, it's the decimation of Oklahoma's families. I mean, it is criminal what we're doing.
And it'll be devastating to the state. It'll be devastating to families. Really worried about children being home alone, about children being in care with people who shouldn't be caring for them.
All of our families that are on subsidy right now have full-time jobs or they're in school full-time. So if you take away their child care, either they cannot go to work or they're not going to graduate from school. And both of those are very detrimental to the family as a whole.
My concern is what would happen to these children if something, they daycare get cut off and there's no one else in the home to watch them. Would the parents take a chance on leaving them at home with older siblings, or would they quit their job?
Lisa Fusler has been in the daycare business for 30 years. She runs a small 3-star certified child care home in Tulsa. 95% of the children she looks after receive subsidies from the state. In the last month, she urgently told parents to make sure to meet their application renewal deadline, which happens every 6 months.
Make sure you get all your paperwork in, because if you make one mistake on that paperwork and it gets denied, you won't have daycare until that freeze go off.
All of her parents met the deadline, but Lisa knows that might not be the case in the future.
My worries are that if most of my parents don't comply when it's time for them to renew, I have a chance of losing most of my children, and that can end up in the closing my daycare.
A snafu in paperwork has left working mother Tonisha Colbert in a state of worry and fear.
Right now my daycare is off, my food stamps off, my Section 8 is going to be terminated as of the 30th. And I'm just like, what am I going to do? And they're not.
Tonisha works full-time as a nursing assistant at a Tulsa hospital. Since 2014, she has been paying a copay of $256 a month for the child care of her 3 children. The DHS subsidy paid the rest. 8 months ago, she took on a second seasonable job at the Tulsa State Fair to try and make a little extra money. Tonisha couldn't get the documentation for that temporary job in time for her child care subsidy renewal.
But it's really getting hard, and I don't know how to function between that. I don't know. I'm sorry.
It's stressful, isn't it?
It is. Just like today, I had to take off work, so I missed money today, trying to get the stuff that they need in order to cut my stuff back on. But if they cut it off, I'm out of luck.
And right now, you just don't know. Casualties of the child care subsidy freeze are just now emerging.
We've lost 3 kids whose cases were not turned back on, so we have 2 slots that are now open, and then that equals 3 children because one family had 2 kids.
Debbie Guilfoyle is the executive director of Tulsa's Crosstown Learning Center. She's worried about those mothers who may be needing assistance for the first time.
Take one family, one single mother that's working, and she's making $20,000 a year, but she's working. And you take child care away from her, she is now on welfare. So we have done nothing except potentially send our welfare rolls through the ceiling.
And if the working poor place their children in substandard care,
we're going to have dead kids because we're going to have children that are not in safe child care. We're going to have kids that are going to be home alone and kids in less than high quality child care.
Karen Smith is the director of Tulsa's Child Care Resource Center. She says they're in the unfortunate position of telling those seeking to apply for child care subsidies that there isn't any money left.
They expect the freeze to last at least a year. And a year, so much can happen in a year, and so many of our babies can be hurt or lose so many gains. Families are going to lose so much in not being able to work that it's really going to hurt our state and our state economy.
A spokesman for the Department of Human Services says the freeze on child care subsidies was a last resort measure and that the move goes against the very core mission of DHS. But with dark revenue projections, DHS can't say exactly when the subsidy freeze will be lifted.